Okay guys, we got Alejandro in the chair today and we're gonna do something really fun, something special. Again, you guys have seen a lot of middle parts on this YouTube channel, but this time I wanna incorporate something a little bit more creative. Alejandro already came. It seems like he likes more streetwear. It seems like he has tattoos, he's got earrings. So I think we could play a little bit more with his hair rather than just doing some boring middle part like most people. We're gonna maybe apply a bit of a taper through the back. We're gonna have some texture through the back as well. We're gonna play a little bit more with the graduation. So we might have something asymmetrical, but at the end of the day, we still want something that's easy for him to manage while having that beautiful texture through the middle part and a nice taper because he's got like jet black hair, and when it comes to jet black hair, it just contrasts really nice with a taper. So we're focusing on still having a middle part, so we're incorporating the middle part, but we're gonna play a little bit with it with the graduation, and you guys are gonna see a different way of actually cutting this while still keeping the system and the technique really straightforward. Let's do it. Okay guys, back from the top. Actually, you know what? This is a middle part, so we're gonna switch it up a little bit. We're actually gonna try to find the natural part rather than going straight down the middle, because at the end of the day, we want this to sit more naturally. And there you go, I found it from the back. Beautiful. Separate that top section as we typically would, except now it's leaning slightly towards the left, which is what we wanted. This is how the hair naturally is gonna split. Now we go back from the top. Okay, look at this. Again, apex, boom. Okay, now full control leading up to the back. Separate that back panel. Bring everything forward, nice and clean. Okay, this is gonna be really nice to cut with jet black hair. You guys are gonna be able to see the technique really well, okay? Boom, so now this panel, guys, we completely isolate. And because it's a middle part, typically, what do? We actually graduate everything. But in this scenario, I might actually wanna keep this middle part slightly disconnected to the sides because I wanna play with the textures. So that's why I'm not graduating everything. There we go. That's one panel isolated, and we could already tell this is just going to be really nice to graduate. Cool. Next section, same process. Going back from the apex. Okay, we have the guide now from that back. Look at this. Boom. Bring it forward. Okay. Now we come back from the top, separate it. There we go. Okay. Now we could go back from the front. We could grab everything, and there you have it. There we have it. Two panels separated, beautiful. It's out of the way. We can now start with our graduation. Let's have fun with it. Again, I really feel like this is gonna be a really nice haircut because there's already so much weight. When we pop in that taper, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be a sight to see. So, as per usual, again, another thing, this is why the middle part works. We're actually seeing a bit more of a weaker hairline in the front. So having that middle part's gonna cover that. And we're gonna be able to also play with some of that contrast through the sides. Step one, again, right over the ear. This is all going to be tapered, so we come back from the top. Boom. Okay, we want this to be as tight as possible for our graduation. We could already see where that weight line is sitting, so we know exactly where to come off the head from. Okay, now we incorporate that back, okay? Again, the hairs are actually a little bit shorter, so sometimes you just have to apply a little bit more tension. Okay, again, building weight, removing weight. And at this point, we're gonna keep it disconnected because I like how the nape is sitting. So follow this process all the way through. Next section, okay? It could be a lot more wet. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back into it. So at this point, guys, again, making sure the hair is nice and wet. Boom, over directed. Elevated. Okay, next section, same process, over directed. Okay, you're gonna see where it's gonna get a little bit different as we get closer to the other side. Same process in here. Beautiful. Keep moving on. And this is where things are gonna slightly change, okay? So we're still over directing, but look at how we're gonna over direct getting closer to the middle point. Okay, I still want it to be actually quite tight in here, because the shape's really gonna stand out from where that occipital is. But look where it happens at this point. Now, we're gonna over direct two sections prior. So look at this, boom. Clean that length. Now we're over directing two sections. There we go, still over directing. And this is when we will move on towards the other side. So if we brush it down, this is what you should end up with, is graduation leading up to something slightly longer that we're gonna be able to play with. It's gonna be a beautiful shape, but we still have to move on and make sure that this area is still quite short. So you're gonna see, we're gonna elevate everything through here, and this is when we're gonna start working with graduation, because we want this corner to be long while maintaining something shorter through here. So what's actually happening is, guys, leading up to this point, we're actually having something that's more triangular. So you have a shape that's like this, rather than typically you have something that's round. And the reason why is because, like I said, we're gonna play with the shape, it's gonna look really nice, we're gonna have some texture, and it's just gonna be something different that you guys aren't typically used to. So let's move on towards the other side. Okay, same thing. Okay, at this point, bring everything forward. Okay, again, nothing changes except for when we get around here. So now we want to preserve the length in that corner, so we're going to work with more over direction. Look at that. Beautiful. Straight into, like, look how clean that is. I'm still making sure that this is very, very straight in a sense of like right where my last guideline is. Like, you could clearly see where my guideline is, and that's because I'm using tension, I'm using the right technique, and look at that. This is why when you cut with a system, things become a lot easier and you end up with just way better results. Last section, look at that. Boom. Okay, so if we bring this back, we've maintained weight through that corner, but if we do this, guys, look at this. You just have that beautiful shape still there. Like, this looks incredible in my opinion. Cool. So we're pretty much done through the graduation. What's really left is a taper, but also, what do we say? We still have that middle part. So this part's gonna be actually effective. In my opinion, it's gonna look the best, and this is how you do it. So we're gonna bring everything down horizontally, and we're gonna see what is the lengths that we have disconnected. So we're gonna work in subsections because, again, very thick hair, and we don't want to add too much texture through the layer. So we're gonna work with something horizontal. Let me show you how that's done. So what you guys wanna do at this point is, the graduation is done, but I wanna show you a simple way, an effective way, and a way where you guys are gonna be able to see that beautiful texture, but even though technically it's gonna be disconnected, it's just gonna look a lot better. It's gonna be way easier for him to manage as well. So again, we're gonna come horizontally from the top. Look at this. First section, we're gonna bring it down, we're gonna see the disconnection, and we're actually gonna work with a lot more over direction. We're not gonna elevate this because I wanna maintain the weight, and I wanna see a bit of that disconnection because I could always go back into it if I feel like it's too disconnected. And look at this, I see the guide, and I cut it square, not round, but square. We wanna maintain, even you could go a little bit slightly triangular. I wanna maintain some of the length through the front, but again, because the hairline's weaker here and there's more elasticity, I don't wanna pull as much because we're gonna end up with having something that's jumpier in here. That means shorter in the front and then longer through the sides. So let me show you. Our guideline now is from that first initial section. I see it. Try to not use as much tension as you're pulling the hair. And here we have it. Just a little cleanup. Okay, that's section 1. Section 2 now. Look at this. And last section, not much to cut. Okay, again, we've maintained the weight, but now you can't really see it, but you're just gonna end up with such beautiful texture, even though it is slightly disconnected. But yeah, hope that helps. Okay, so big difference here is that his hair growth is very different from this side as it is from the other. This side, he actually has a cowlick. That means it tends to want to jump more, so you have to be more careful. I actually can't cut the same level of length, as in I can't match the left side with the right side. I have to keep it slightly longer because what we want at the end is a visual connection, not a technical connection. We want a visual connection because if I cut it technically the same, this is gonna end up way shorter. So here, we're actually gonna play with a little bit more over direction because it tends to bounce more. We want this to be visually connected at the very end. So again, you see, natural, boom, cutting it square. I think the real problem is actually gonna be more in the front, just based off of looking at it, but here we go, okay? I'm just gonna keep it slightly longer and come in square. Maybe reduce some of that weight through the front. Okay, you could also visually just look at it. How does this one lay? Beautiful. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. So you notice that? Some level of visual connection, you could still see a bit disconnected, but again, don't forget, this is still gonna be dry. So once it's dry, it's still gonna jump up. So that's a perfect choice of length. Okay, here we go. Let's brush it back. How does this want to sit? That's what we're looking for. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so now let's blow dry this and start planning on how we're gonna do our taper. Okay, because everything now is exactly how we want it to be. Look how this is already sitting. We might do something creative through the back potentially, but for now, I just really want to see how my shape is gonna look once it's fully dry. So let's get to it. Okay guys, so at this point, we're gonna work with, like I said, with something a little bit asymmetrical. We're gonna go with a taper leading up to some of that length through that nape. And the reason why is we have that beautiful graduated shape in the back. So here we go. We're going to use this as a weight line with our number 3 right underneath the mastoid bone. And all we wanna do is just refine that shape a little bit. There we go, beautiful. Okay guys, so now we're gonna do the taper on the side. Number 3 first. Again, we wanna make sure the contrast is gonna pop when it comes to the taper. Okay, now we go back with my outline. Now we go back with the 2. Okay, and then I go back with my foils. Then I go back with my 1 open, right underneath my 2, 1 closed, right underneath my 1 open, and now my open right underneath my 1 closed, and another closed. And that's how you're able to contrast the taper, because again, now when we pop the outline, you guys are gonna see how beautifully this is gonna turn out. And that's because we've been able to manage keeping it slightly darker from this side and the front. Beautiful. So guys, this is my final look on Alejandro, and what you guys have here is this beautiful graduation while using over direction to bring everything back to retain some of that weight in here while keeping this quite short and having something asymmetrical with a taper into something with more length. And the same thing with the sides. We went with a nice taper through the sides and with a nice textured finish using horizontal sections to keep it disconnected while visually still making it look connected. So I hope you guys liked it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.